Welcome to Sky Women. I'm your host, Dr. Carolyn Moyers, a wife, mom, and board-certified OB-GYN. This is a place to educate, empower, and inspire. Join us each week as we share the power of women's stories. Real women, real stories, real inspiration. Put on your stretchy pants. Let's get going. Welcome, Sky Women. Welcome back to another episode of Sky Women Podcast. I am so happy that you are in our corner today. I have with us Dr. Claudia Beeny. She has 30 years of experience in education, igniting the energy and passion of others. And it's her story and what she's doing in this world is so brilliant. I just cannot wait for you to meet her and to learn more about her. So welcome, Dr. Beeny.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, Carolyn.
So, Claudia, you are also an author. I didn't mention that. And you wrote a book called What's Your Shine? And you also host a podcast called What's Your Shine? So tell us the premise behind that and the House of Shine, which you founded.
Yeah. Well, the premise behind What's Your Shine is the belief that each of us is uniquely wired to make a contribution in this world that is different than anyone else's. And actually, I always like to say, not just one contribution, many contributions over the course of our lifetime, because we will change and we will evolve as we get older and circumstances and life changes. So the What's Your Shine book, I like to say it's What's Your Shine, a methodology for discovering who you are and why that matters. And really, so the book itself is really designed to walk people through what I will refer to as the Shine methodology. And that really came to be, Carolyn, after I spent 6.5 years blogging. And I tell everyone that that was a really interesting time in my life because I left one career. I was working in higher education where I had been for 25 years. And I was on maternity leave and decided that I was going to start blogging because I needed something to do to keep myself busy and entertained. And I had always, people had always said, Claudia, you're so creative. You should figure out a way to share your ideas so that even though you might not live where I live anymore, we can still read them and participate. And so it was on that premise that I started the blog. And really in the beginning, the idea was that I was going to share one creative idea a day for 1 year, never repeating the same idea twice. And, and then I'd be kind of off to the races. So that is how it all started. But what I believe to be true is it was through the act of writing daily that I really became very connected to my own voice and what it was that I was thinking about, what it was that I really cared about, what my real, if you will, philosophy on life was. And that happened as a result of writing daily and actually walking daily. And, now fast forward, I've been at it for 14 years. And now we have a physical space. And this is what we do is teach this message to, students in schools, to community members through our House of Shine, but also even corporate executives. So we're just doing it, all day long in a variety of capacities, because really it's an ageless, timeless message that everyone needs to hear.
Absolutely. Just to own your unique combination of strengths and hobbies and interests that kind of makes, all those shared lived experiences that really give you your unique lens. I just think it's beautiful. And after being a part of your Peace, Love, Shine annual fundraising event, I mean, holy cow. So exciting to just see the remarkable women and what they're doing in our communities. Such a joy. I am so excited to know that this is available. I've been telling everybody, I believe whenever we went to the luncheon at the House of Shine, we were given some coupons and I have passed those out to important women in my life.
Oh, I love hearing
to
that.
come to some of the House of Shine events, because I just think it's remarkable what you're doing, because I do think that a lot of times we are trying to live up to others' expectations of us, whether that's parents or teachers or friends or spouse. And how do we find our own way?
Yes. I mean, the thing of it is, like what I say all the time is that we are born with an essential self, right? I mean, when you were young, when you were 5, 6, 7, even 10, 11, 12, you kind of knew what you liked and what you didn't like. And as young kids, we're a little bit clueless to the world around us. So we're given the freedom to just joyfully move about life doing what we love. And it isn't until we hit the age 12, 13, 14 and on that we begin to realize like, oh, there are norms. And if I don't fit into the norms, if I'm in middle school and I don't fit in, I get made fun of. So let me change who I am so that I get made fun of less or I don't get bullied. And then we get into our 20s and we're very aware that you should look a certain way and be a certain way. And so what ends up happening over time is that all of these layers get built up between the real me, the essential self, if you will, and what I will refer to as the social self, which is who I become so that I actually can fit in with the world around me. And some of that's important, right? There are some social norms and we want people, the world's a better, easier place when we decide to participate in some of these social norms. But at the same time, it's never meant to actually, if you will, completely squelch who it is that we are as individual human beings. And so I like to say that what we do at the House of Shine is really pull back all those layers that have been piling up over the course of years. You might be a mother with, teenage kids and you're realizing, holy cow, I've lived, I've spent so much time caring for others and living my social self with all of these various hats and roles that I play that I don't actually know who I am anymore. I don't actually know what my favorite food is because I spend so much time making everybody else's favorite food. So,
oh my gosh, you just hit me in the gut with that one.
I can only say that because the number of women that, we would have this conversation with who would say, I don't actually know what my favorite fruit is because I don't ever buy, I never think about that. I'm only thinking about my kids or my husband and what their favorite fruit is. And so, what we like to do is no matter whether you're a man or a woman, but we do work with a lot of women because that's who's drawn to us for a variety of reasons. It's just really about peeling back those layers and getting reacquainted with the essential self.
I love that. And I love that with House of Shine, you say that you help people from ages 5 to 95.
Yes.
Discover who they are and why their contribution to the world matters. It's so huge. It's so beautiful because I often hear people say, oh, I'm too old for that. No, you're never too old. I mean, my grandmother reinvented herself and went back to nursing school as a retiree.
Nice. That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, but when you meet someone a vibrant older person whose eyes sparkle and they're spry and they're vibrant, I love surrounding myself with those people. But what you really realize is they all have a sense of purpose. They all know, they all believe that they are still here, that they are still relevant, that there is still a place for them. And, of course, at the House of Shine, we do say, between 5 and 95. I mean, you are a contribution. And it might look different when you're in your 80s or your 90s than it did when you were in the heart of your career, but you are still here to make a contribution. And while it might look very different, there is still a sense of purpose. And I mean, I guess the only other thing I would just add to that as we're talking about people who are in their, if you will, older kind of golden years is that, loneliness among elderly people is quite significant. And it's a real issue. I mean, loneliness in our country is actually I don't know if you know who Vivek Murthy is, but he is the, actually his title just literally fell out of my head, but he's the Surgeon General under Joe Biden's administration. And he was as well under the Obama administration. But one of the things that he did, I just thought it was such an interesting body of work. He spent the first year, I think, in office traveling the country, trying to better understand what the health-related issues in the country were. So he knew how to best allocate his time. And what he realized at the end of that year of really just meeting people, traveling the country and meeting people is that one of the most epidemic situations that we have in our country is that of loneliness. And, this is true of our young people, and we're watching that manifest in a myriad of ways, but it's also true of elderly people. And I think COVID exacerbated the whole situation. Yes. And so I will just say, I mean, this notion that each of us is born to make a contribution, or many of them over the course of our lifetime, absolutely applies to elderly people. It couldn't be more important for them to know that they are filled with wisdom and insight and talents and gifts that are well developed, and that to live a full and rich life is to figure out how to use them till the day you're gone.
Yeah. I think that that's also true for our moms, right? Because you may leave a career, you may be on maternity leave, you may be figuring out, how do I function in this life now as a mother? And you may be lonely in the mothering. I know so many women who report that. As a mom of 4, I have definitely had those times in my life where I felt, completely lonely, although you're never alone.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, absolutely. I relate to that. I think that it can feel, I think every mom, every woman is probably on a little bit their own journey as they're managing motherhood and, the other pieces of who they are. But it can be, you can lose yourself in that job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's very important to figure out how to stay tethered to the essential self as you go through motherhood. Yeah.
Yeah. So we heard about your book, and working through the book, I assume, would help us to kind of reconnect with our essential self. But there's also so many ways through listening to your podcast, we can learn about others and how they're shining. But tell us how we can interact with the House of Shine within the community to really enhance our understanding of our own self and how we're contributing.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, we're so excited to have opened a physical space. Or, if we're in our 14th year of kind of existing, the first many were just electronic via the blog, if you will, that I had. And then after that, we did a lot of work out in schools. But here we are now with our own physical space in downtown Grapevine. So if people live in the area, the easy button is to, swing by the House of Shine and experience it. The front of the house is a museum with interactive elements and displays, all really designed to help you learn more about self. So that's an easy thing to do if you are in the area, as is it also easy to check out our calendar, which is both online as well as in our physical space, just outlining all of the different programs and experiences that we offer in a given month that people can participate in. Now, some of those, not all of them, but some of them are virtual. So if people are tuning in from other locations, they can visit our website as well and identify which of those are virtual offerings. We have started to offer our Rise and Shine workshop series, which is exclusively for women. And it is, to be honest with you, one of my favorite things that we do. This is a once a month workshop that we do for 9 out of the 12 months of the year. Each one is an hour and a half. They're all focused on you. I mean, that's what they all have in common. It's a great way to meet people, but you should know that every session is really designed to get you thinking and reflecting about your life, whether you're living in alignment with kind of the person that you envision yourself to be. And so they're thoughtful opportunities to grow and develop, but to do it in community with other women. So that is a great virtual experience that anybody can participate in. We have something called the What Next Book Club, which is always a personal development based book. And we tackle one book every 2 months. So that's a cool experience, I think, as well. And then if none of that sounds interesting and you just want to pop in and volunteer, that's a great way to engage in our community, learn more about what it is that we do, and help our important cause. I mean, we're trying to shine world domination. That's what we say, Carolyn. So we got a big goal.
I love it. So you have those little House of Shine tokens.
Yes.
Tell us about the school bus within House of Shine and those tokens, because it is a favorite item around my house. And now my boys will pass it between each other when somebody's done something that is shine worthy.
Oh, I love hearing that.
Yeah.
So the Shine token, I mean, actually is a fun little story. I went away for a couple of weeks one summer and I was in Florida, and my youngest son wanted to do pottery. It was a rainy day and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. So we stopped in this little pottery place and he really took to it. So when he would go to do that, I started making these little, now what we call them tokens, but I just made some, and it was such a great if you will, Zen experience that I just thought, I want to do more of this. But what I really believed as I was making these tokens is they were just very small symbols, if you will, like they're just made of clay and pottery, but it was a very Zen experience. And what I realized as I was making them is that I felt like I was really putting into each token like love and intention, if you will. So when I came back, I just thought we continued to do it. And we made these tokens. Now they are a symbol. We give them to people when we do workshops for them. We kind of leave one with each person. And it's our way of saying that you were born to shine. This is a symbol that we and a body of people believe that you are a contribution, and you use it kind of as a reminder, but they're a form of currency. So your boys are using them in exactly the way that we want, which is when you see somebody brightening their corner of the world, you stop and you make note of it and you tell them, because we know if I do that, the chances of you repeating that behavior is, pretty darn good, because we're human beings and we like the affirmation. So that's what the token is. We sell them. This is kind of a fun little story, Carolyn. We sell them in boxes of 21 as well, because 21 is, in theory, there's some literature out there that suggests 21 is the number of days that it takes to create a new habit. And so this is really the habit of gratitude that we're trying to ignite in people. So we sell them in boxes of 21. And I just did the challenge myself, not that long ago, probably about a month ago. I decided if I'm going to talk about this thing, if we're going to sell this, I should actually, have a personal experience with it. I, of course, have given out many a shine token in my life, but to give away 21 for 21 consecutive days with a handwritten note explaining why you shine is more of a commitment than it would sound like, right?
Oh,
theory, yeah. It sounds easy, right? 21 days, 21 notes, big deal.
I feel like that it's training your brain to look for the good. You're looking for the shine in other people, right? If you're committed that you're going to do it for 21 days.
It's true. And I mean, it was everything. It was such a rich experience. There were people that off the beaten path I had never met before, but I gave them a token because I was out and about and stopped to write them a note and thank them for great customer service. Or, I made time to write one to each of my boys, telling them why I think they shine. And, that's not something, even though I think I'm affirming and all of these things, to actually stop and write a handwritten note was really something. So I just had 21 great days of stories. And in fact, I told myself that I'm going to pick this back up. And there's no reason that, I want to be careful, but in my head, I'm like, well, actually, I'm going to do this for a year. I'm going to do a yearly challenge and I'm going to see what happens. How does my life change if I give away one token a day with intention to somebody who is making their corner of the world better?
Yeah, because we've all had those experiences where somebody is really grumpy in their job, or, you know what I mean? You go through these experiences where you're like, oh gosh, they must be having a really bad day. But then you have this experience where you're like, man, they are like our pediatrician. He is doing what God put him on this earth to do, right? He is delightful. He is excited. He is engaging with our boys. He's down on the floor. Like he has always been saying, we're always saying how he shines and how he is doing what he was meant to do. And I think that those experiences, like we need to call those out. We need more of that in our lives, right? And it does take those centering yourself first.
Yes.
To even recognize it in yourself, right? Because if we are seeing that and we're like, oh, wish I could be that way. Must be nice to be such a, right? You can, right?
Absolutely.
You just have to find your shine.
Yes. And, your doctor getting a note from you with a shine token. I gave one to, I have a doctor because I have a little bit of an itch condition, if you will. And I brought one to her because she's been with me on this journey. And I just wanted her to know you are the real deal. So often a doctor will kind of do the cursory, I'm trying to help you, but I ran out of solutions. I don't know. Get on with it. But she's been with me on this journey for over a year now, and I am absolutely seeing improvement. So I brought one to her. I brought one to the woman who cuts my hair to just say, I don't know about you, but when I go to get my hair cut, I'm always under the ridiculous illusion that I'm going to come out looking completely different. Like, I don't know why that is, but anyway, I do. And so I brought her one. But interestingly enough, the day I brought it, she said, oh my gosh, I've been dreading this day all week because I knew I was going to see you and I was going to have to tell you that I'm leaving. She was moving to another state. And so here I show up on this random day to give her this token to tell her thank you. And, for all these things. And that was her last day there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? So I felt great because when I thought I did this randomly, but I actually got to bring this relationship to like real closure by telling you how I feel about you. So it was really a nice moment.
That's awesome.
I had 21 moments like that. It was just very cool. It was very cool. Like even my son, my 18-year-old, when I gave him his, I didn't give it to him. I actually went out and I put it in the seat of his car.
Sure.
Because I knew like he'd see it there and he'd have his own moment reading it. And it would be better than if I, gave it to him.
Right. And it was in anticipation waiting for it.
Exactly. So I just, it's just a very meaningful and purposeful experience that I think we can give to one another to make the time. Mm-hmm.
So what I'm hearing is that you help others find their shine, but you're also looking at how do we take this then to the community and how do we spread that shine, right? Not only in finding your gifting and connecting with your essential self, but also seeing it in others when they're living it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So spread shine is one of our 10 principles. So the 10 principles are common ways that people who shine think, feel, and behave. And one of them is to spread shine. And I would add to that we have a phrase that we use that drives a lot of our teaching and training at the House of Shine. And that phrase is be, do, share. And be is all about being self-aware, being, just again, in touch with who am I? What are my talents? What are my gifts? The do piece is really where we encourage people to roll their sleeves up and to perfect and improve, their talents and skills, right? So if I've been given talents and skills, what am I doing to actually grow them, to strengthen them? And then the last piece of it is the share piece, which is exactly what you're talking about, Carolyn, when you say, to what end? That is one of the things that I think, it's not that I'm going to say it's a differentiator for our nonprofit, but we're more than just, telling you what's right about you. I'm telling you that with the expectation that you're going to get up and share it with the world around you. Mm-hmm. And, last thought about that is just that there is a definite connection between our own internal levels of happiness and our contribution, our connection to other people in the world around us. And so the giving away of who you are, the sharing of it with the world around you, with your community, is just so central to our message. I love that you actually picked up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm kind of even reflecting more on my experience with the House of Shine, it's making me think of this quote by Abdul Baha that says, where there is love, nothing is too much trouble, and there is always time. And, just even taking the time to recognize someone else, even taking the time to practice gratitude is an act of love, right? Whether we're practicing that for ourselves, we're having gratitude for ourselves, for our family, for our community, for those around us, it's an act of love. And we live in a very busy, fast-paced society, right? But if we're acting from a place of love, we're going to take that extra minute to write the note or to say thank you. Whether it's the housekeeping staff who's keeping the hospital clean, right? Like those are some of my favorite people to thank because they are hardworking and usually invisible. You know what I mean? Just going through their role and nobody really gives them any attention. And I love like somebody who's doing it so joyful like that. I just love to call it out because we have to recognize those qualities in people. It just makes the world a better place.
It absolutely does. And I think our communities are stronger when we do that. I mean, we have another initiative that we call the Yellow Envelope Project. And this is really letters of gratitude to people thanking them for, again, making their corner of the world brighter. But why that's so important, and I always used to say, I mean, this started actually way back when we were doing the blog, and I would say, we focus on people who you are not being featured on the Today Show or Good Morning America or in your local paper. These people are getting accolades and recognition, and that is great. I'm certain they deserve it. But actually, we're talking about everyday citizens, the people who, as you said, are cleaning that hospital, delivering my mail, making my coffee when I go to Starbucks. I mean, who are these people that are showing up and bringing the best of who they are? And if we want to strengthen community, something very simple that we can do is to stop and recognize those people who are doing it well, living in community well. So I couldn't agree more.
So I love that you take your background in education, you're on maternity leave, and think, I'm going to do something creative and use my brain in this blog. And from that has created this entire movement. It's just so remarkable. And I think a sense of what is possible, even for women to pivot in their career as a mom. There's endless possibilities. You have just followed this path because it was your passion. And I just think it's so beautiful.
Yeah. But I mean, to your point, Carolyn, I like to tell people that, the House of Shine obviously is not my space. The House of Shine is everybody's story. It is the coming together of what I will call point of intersection, some of my talents and some of my interests combined with a need that I saw in the world around me. Yeah. And that's actually what we teach, is that we're trying to help people find their personal point of intersection.
So explain the point of intersection to us, because I think that that's really key for finding your shine.
Yeah, it absolutely is. In fact, so in the book, in the What's Your Shine book, that is the last piece of it. So it's the be, do, and the share. And so the point of intersection is really where we bring together a lot of the learnings that we facilitate in the book and in our workshops. The workshops that we do are really designed to help you explore your talents and your interests, right? Who am I? What do I care about? What am I naturally good at? What do I get complimented on? Where does my mind wander? What are the things that rile me up and that I feel impassioned about? What experiences have I had in my life that are really formative and really helped, make me who I am today, good and bad, both. So once we do that and we tease all that information out, the very next thing that we're interested in doing is helping you actually, once we've kind of deconstructed who you are, then what we try to do is actually reconstruct how you can use that to make a difference. So the talent is, again, those things for which they come naturally to you, or you get compliments on them, or time passes quickly when you're engaged in it and you're doing it. These are all ways that we would know. The interests it's just a recognition. It's an acknowledgement that, we're not all interested in the same thing, and that's okay. I mean, we were just joking about this in my office earlier today, and I was explaining that I have a dog and I love my dog, but I'm not that person that just is a total animal lover for all animals. Now, those people exist and I love them. That's just not who I am. Right. And then there are people who care deeply about the environment. We all need to care about the environment, but not everybody feels that is their life's cause that they care the most about. You're a doctor. I couldn't be one because I can't stand the sight of blood, right? I mean, I just, anything that at all off the norm makes me queasy. Yeah. So, your talents are one thing, but the things that interest you, I'm deeply interested in and deeply concerned about education. Mm-hmm. And so this is where the bulk of my time and my energy goes. So the talent is what we're good at. The interests are things that we care about. And the need is, again, the world has a lot of problems. There's no lack, right? There's no area that wouldn't benefit from a little bit of improvement. So the need is really about you thinking about, what do I care enough about that I would like to spend time actually contributing to a solution? So once you bring your talents and your interests together with a need in the community or a need in the world around you, then you are perfectly braced to find your point of intersection. So for me, I think my talents do lie around my ability to lead and organize, and I am creative. My interests are very much in human development and personal development. And I love the idea of creating memories and moments for people. And the need that I see is, frankly, I see a need for all of us to be a little bit more engaged in the world around us, that we should not be so me-centered. We should all, focus on ourselves, yes, but keep one eye on the world around us. And if everybody did that, the world would be a better place. But you should do it around things you care about, not out of obligation around something that, that's not where your interests lie. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're saying doing it for the right reasons, truly. I think whenever we follow our passions, that's just when we show up as a better version of ourselves, which is exactly what your shine is.
It's true. And, we talk a lot at the House of Shine about that word passion. And, we have a love-hate relationship with it, because I think that people can be paralyzed by the thought of passion, that it feels like a very big word. It feels like a very heavy word. It feels
like I may never find my passion, right? Like it's one thing.
It's one thing. And this must not be it, because I'm not enjoying myself right now.
Okay.
And what I like to say is no, that's why I love the word contribution, because you can make a contribution. In fact, you'll make many of them over your lifetime. And the contributions that you make should be things that you have talent around and that you're interested in. But especially with our young adults, passion is a word that really can trip them up, because their interpretation of that is, if I'm passionate about it, I should love it every minute. And I'm passionate about what I do, but I do not love it every minute. I don't know about you.
Yeah. There are many days where I don't, but for the most part, I do. And I do feel like I'm doing my life's work. So I think that is less common than we think, right? I remember having this conversation with someone dear to me, and her saying, "That's amazing that you can say that. I don't think I could say that about my profession. At this point in my life, I haven't found that for myself." So I do think that there's a lot to be said for this work that you are promoting, for us to really find that unique intersection for all of us and then share it with the world. I hope that everyone will go follow you on social, buy your book, listen to your podcast. What's Your Shine is the name of the book and the name of the podcast, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And go visit the House of Shine and Grapevine. Just make it a day adventure. I want to tell you, my 6-year-old, he asked for that for his birthday and we did not make it. So we're going to have to make to one of your story times, because I think that they would really love it.
I agree. Well, hopefully you'll make that happen. Thank you so much for the chance to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me.
Okay. Thank you, Carolyn.
All right, Sky community, thank you for listening to another episode. This episode was sponsored by Sky Women's Health. As a reminder, we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we help relieve back pain and pelvic pain in pregnancy and beyond. If you are pregnant and having pain and you feel like you have no reliable way to relieve it, look us up at skywomenshealth.com, request an appointment, and we'll call to get you scheduled. As a board-certified OBGYN with a Neuromusculoskeletal Medicine Fellowship, I help you realign with hands-on drug-free treatment and relieve pain on the spot without medication. We'll help you maintain these results through your pregnancy and postpartum period. Every pregnant person deserves this, and we are so excited to serve you. You can find us on our website, as mentioned, or on social at Sky Women's Health, or you can call the office at 817-915-9803. That's it for today. Until next week, be well.